Hello and welcome to another Time for Advice interview. Today we're speaking to Philip Hodges, Director of Guiide, a new fintech company that helps consumers understand more about their retirement options so they can make informed decisions about how they take their retirement benefits when the time is right. As well as acting as a great guide to understanding pension planning, it's creating a wealth of opportunity for financial advisors as the consumers using Guiide seek advice to help them with their financial planning. At Time for Advice, we're always looking to partner with new fintech innovators to help them and us deliver even more value to financial advice businesses. Ultimately, we're on a mission to enable firms to digitally transform themselves so that they can build sustainable and profitable businesses delivering exceptional client service. Change is always difficult, but we believe firms need to think big, start small, but just start. Philip, hello and welcome.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
I know you've taken a bit of a day out today, and you've come up from London.
I have just driven up this morning. Beautiful weather, and it's lovely to be here. You live in a beautiful village and a lovely home.
Well, thank you very much indeed. So, what we're going to be talking about a little bit today is you, obviously, your journey in the industry and your venture Guide, which we're very keen to talk about. So tell us a little bit about Philip Hodges. Where did you come from, your background, and then how did you end up with Guide?
Okay, I'll give you a sort of few minutes just to sort of like from the start up to today. So I have been kind of like life and pensions man and boy.
Yeah.
I started my career with Prudential in operations, IT, marketing. Very much finished in marketing, product development, where we were doing things facing off to the IFA channel, direct services, corporate channel, everywhere. So a lot of experience from there. I then switched to KPMG for the consulting division.
Yeah.
At the time when there was a lot of demutualisation going on, we had stakeholder pensions coming in. So a pretty solid career there. Then after that, software companies and consulting. And really sort of like the story kind of picks up to 2015 with the introduction of pension freedoms. So at that time, I very much concentrated on actually the strategic response of providers and pension funds and master trusts in response to the pension freedoms, how they could actually engage with consumers and members and with their channels.
Yeah.
One of the things, what happened was actually a bit of a COVID story is that January 2020
That's it.
We all know what happened then. I actually had consulting assignments which were kind of like coming to a close, and I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So I started actually just scanning the internet, came across Guide, and that's Guide with 2 I's.
Yeah.
And I thought, crikey, this absolutely solves the problems I've seen from a provider end. And I contacted Kevin Hollister, who's the founder of Guide. He's a scheme actuary by background. And I said to Kevin, really keen to get involved. You're a startup, you can't afford to pay me, so let's do it the other way around. I'll become an investor in the business. So he and I are business partners. Funny stories is that I'm based in London, he's based in Scotland. So we really are a startup business under lockdown.
Yeah.
So that brings us to today and my involvement in Guide.
So what are the challenges that Guide's there to solve?
Just as a sort of starting point, Guide, we launched it as a consumer site in May 2020. It's a retirement income planning tool.
Right.
Okay. And it was there mainly to address the 50% of people who are going into drawdown without taking advice.
Okay.
That was the audience we were addressing. So what we are doing is we're looking to help people understand their retirement, their retirement future. What's distinct about Guide is that it is a income planning tool that is not just about pensions. It is for anyone. It's looking at all their sources of income.
Yeah.
So it calculates state pension, DB, DC pensions, non-pension savings, be that ISAs, GIA, liquidated assets, inheritance, part-time work, rental income, everything.
Yeah.
Now, in such a complex model, the beauty of it is that consumers will actually use the tool and they can actually come up with a clear view on their retirement income future within 15 minutes.
Right.
That's the distinction about Guide.
So what is it? A robo-advisor?
No, guidance, purely guidance.
Okay.
But we've really pushed the boundaries in being able to give personal guidance. Okay. We're kind of qualified for this because we actually came through the FCA Innovate Sandbox in the first place.
Yeah.
So we kind of have as best the sort of stamp that says we are within bounds of guidance. And we actually, in terms of the use of the tool, we spent a whole year, or Kevin spent a whole year consumer testing to the point of even following people's movements with their mouse on a website and things like that.
Yeah.
So really down to that detail, and in achieving something which got very high engagement, it was a case during that research was kind of like taking complexity out.
Yeah.
Making it very, very simple.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's critical, isn't it? If you're going to help people understand, most people are pretty disengaged when it comes to financial planning because, let's face it, it's pretty dull.
Yeah.
So if there's a way of exciting them to the art of the possible, to explain to them and educate them as to what they should be doing and could be doing to get maximum value, that makes sort of a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you've launched it to consumer. Direct to consumer is notoriously difficult anyway. But what was the response? What was the sort of feedback, and how successful has it been?
Yeah, I'd say it has been very proud. It's been hugely successful by the demand and level of engagement we get. Mm-hmm. So first off is that in terms of demand, a big part of what we do make use of Google and what people are searching for.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting there is that people who come to us, literally, they are searching for help with their retirement or help with their pension.
Yeah.
None of them are searching for advice, guidance, education. Those words don't mean anything to them.
So help's the key word.
Absolutely.
So that's a big takeaway that financial advisors should learn when it comes to.
Absolutely, that's
Okay.
what people want, and to quantify that, we know that those people, there are in excess of 100,000 of them a month.
Cool.
Looking for that. Yeah, they're not putting in the words guidance. They're just saying help. That's 100,000 people. Now, we on a very, very slim marketing budget actually bring 10,000 a month for those people to our site. A good number of those just find us now because we do come up on the rankings. And of those 10,000, 6,000 of them actually then use our planning tool. 4,000 just come to read and understand a bit. 6,000 start using our planning tool. 2,500 of that 6,000 complete, and it complete the use of the tool. It takes them about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. That is effectively an engagement rate of 40%,
Which is
40%.
unbelievable.
Yeah. So when we talk to, particularly around to providers and master trusts, they will say to us, well, God, with our captive audience, we're lucky if we get 15 or 20%.
Well, that's high as well.
That is on the high side, but yeah, I'm being a bit generous for them.
I was going to say.
So their jaws drop at the sort of level of engagement we're able to
So
achieve.
why do you think you're getting that level of engagement? What is it? What sort of what have you done to get people excited about their retirement? What struck a chord with the consumer?
It's the key thing is like being keeping it simple.
Yeah.
We actually don't collect any personal identifying information.
Yeah.
There are some basics that we need, like date of birth and target retirement age, but we actually don't collect any personal identifying information. So that actually increases their level of trust with what we're doing. The other key thing about the engagement is that we don't talk in industry speak, obviously, on the site.
Yeah.
we understand, we do understand their situation very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And the other key difference to a lot of other things is that we they would say, we give them the solution. We don't ask them lots of questions and then present lots of different options and preside, on a planning site, present loads of sliders and faders and things like that. We ask them a few questions, we present them with a solution that then they can actually say, does that make sense? Is that right? Do I question that? That's where the simplicity comes out.
Okay, so you give them a solution, all right?
Yeah.
So you've got 2,500 people a month who've been through the process from 10,000, and you've given them a solution. Or would you actually say you've given them a challenge, a problem, because they now know that they are either deficient in their financial
Yes.
planning or whatever. So what then? I mean, you're not a charity, you're a commercial enterprise.
Yep.
Exciting, but how do you get paid and what happens to those 2,500?
Now you say it's just like for some, it's we have kind of like solved some problems for them. For others, they end up raising more questions. So I would say just like I said like we're targeted for the 50% who don't take advice when they go to drawdown.
Yeah.
We've largely seen ourselves as addressing those who either don't, won't, or can't access financial advice.
Yeah.
Right. So there are those who kind of like self-sufficient and say, well, I don't need it. I understand it. Fine. But actually for a lot of the others, they come through, they understand why they need financial advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've actually given them, we're given prompts
Yeah.
to think about. Yeah. But it's sort of like it's in real life terms that they can actually understand.
So they get it. They need financial advice. So how can you help? What happens then?
So what happens? We are out commercializing or monetizing our site, which is free to use for consumers.
Yeah.
We are a referral model. Okay.
So in English, does that mean you're a lead generator?
No.
I mean,
no,
we've got a number, haven't we?
Yeah. So be very clear about that. Is that so? Firstly, with regard to the destination that we can actually show people, we have on our site financial advisors, product providers,
right,
for those who feel that they want to take that route, and we also have access to annuities as well.
Right.
But we are not a volume lead generator. We are not unbiased. We're not vouched for.
Right.
We have a small number of strategic partners on our site.
Yeah.
Okay. And our fees are only generated where somebody goes on and transacts with one of our partners.
So you're an introducer to a panel of professional financial advisors.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So an obvious question, I'm a financial advisor. I want a bit of the action. 2,500 potential leads. But what's the quality of these leads, by the way?
Yeah. This actually quite surprised us from when we launched it. We thought that we would actually be addressing, dare I say, kind of like the lower end of the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite astonishing is that on a monthly basis, the kind of like 2,500 that come through, they have total pension assets which they put onto Guide of 600 million a month. 600 million.
Hang on, let me just repeat that. Did you say 600 million pounds potential assets?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, that's phenomenal. So I'm really excited now as an IFA. So how do I get a bit of that action?
So that translates to an average of 300,000 per person that's using our site. We, as I said, we work with kind of like strategic partners. We're not volume generators. Okay. For those who want to work with us, when it comes to financial advice, firstly, as I said, we're not unbiased.co.uk or vouched for. So firstly, we kind of position ourselves as being, we'll take not on the high street. Okay. So kind of if somebody is accessible through one of the other directories, they're not really for us because we have a much closer relation. That's one. Another sort of like hygiene factor is it's got to be whole of market. not restricted.
So do you have a qualification process that you go through when bringing or inviting advisors into?
We do.
Okay.
So those are the sort of basic hygiene questions. Really coming down to some of the sort of nitty-gritty of this, we do have a full due diligence process.
Okay.
So somebody has to complete a questionnaire. We go through all sorts of compliance checks.
Yeah.
So we have a compliance consultant that does all that.
Okay.
And actually our IFA panel comes under the governance of our independent governance committee.
Okay.
So so we're not seen as being biased in some way.
Yeah.
So we have a governance committee which is actually chaired by Andrew Warwick Thompson, previously with the regulator.
Yeah.
And they have oversight of our IFA panel.
Okay.
Being not a volume generator, we say at the moment we only have 4 on our panel. We have another half a dozen who are going through due diligence.
Okay.
To give us flexibility and choice, but also to account for the volumes coming up.
So look, there are 6,000 firms. So clearly, not all of those 6,000 firms are going to be on your panel. So, but from what I've said, what you've just described, you've got a limited introducer sort of relationship there, which is fine. That's no problem at all, but quite exclusive. But I want to take advantage of the investment you've made in your technology. I mean, that can't be it, is it? Is that it? You're just an introducer model, or is there something?
When I said that it's a strategic relationship with our partners, it's because it's not just an interest in us as a distribution channel, but it is interest in our tech.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask. Is this something that, for example, a financial advisor could come to you and say, look, actually, I see what you're doing. I'm really excited by the traffic. I'd like some of that action. I'd like to introduce that into my way of engaging with new prospective clients, because this is a market I think is massively underutilized or capitalized on. So are you selling your technology to firms? And if so, what's the commercial model around that?
Yeah. It was always our intention to do that. So the consumer side effectively is that it's out kind of like a base model for our technology, and it's proof of our model. Yeah. But it's always our intention that we would actually then sell the technology onto other parties so they can use it for their own purposes. And that again is where I sort of talk about the strategic relationship. So those who are now already licensed in our tech, they have come on board first as one of our partners, accessing our channel. Brilliant for them, because that actually, one, gives them some business, and secondly, gets them to understand Guiide itself. And then they can think how they can use it in their own business. So it's a very good way, very easy way to kind of like take on board digitization in their own world. We've got one of the major corporate IFAs who's white labeling our tech for their scheme appointments. They would be, schemes that we wouldn't get to because it's their appointments.
Of course.
So they're able to leverage our tech. They are also on our panel.
Okay, so we've got corporate advisors looking after group schemes. That's an obvious route to market because they've got effectively a captive audience, and they can face those tools to that audience. Then you've got the direct-to-consumer approach, where that technology is perhaps hosted via an IFA's own website. So if they've got focus on marketing, they can communicate the existence of this tool using help and obviously drive traffic to that way. So, I mean, that's really exciting. But you mentioned digitization. I talk about digital transformation quite a lot in these sort of interviews because, the problem with the industry, I think that we've all recognized at the moment, is it's really inefficient. Financial advisors are inefficient because they're using very old technology that was launched on the pre-RDR model, so the back office systems in common use aren't client relationship management technologies, and as a consequence they tend to live in this very disconnected world, and as a result they spend a disproportionate amount of their time doing mundane tasks which don't really have any appeal or added value to their clients, but that's just the way it is. So as an advisor looking to begin to introduce a far more efficient way of operating, building long-term sustainable businesses, I mean, what would you be saying to them around their journey towards a more digitally transformed, sustainable, profitable business? What are the sort of things they need to be doing?
And answering that question is actually, it's one of the things that we're passionate about in the relationship with you, because we don't address back office requirements.
No.
We got a particular part of the market and the value chain that we're supporting. But I'll answer that question talking about the way that we are engaging with yourself. Is that firstly, for us as a technology, we are used very much at sort of like the pre-advice stage with guidance, okay, very clear, and we stay within those bounds. But effectively, what it means for an IFA, we're kind of like we're triage for a pre-advice process. So those who come through our technology, going on to an advisor, they go through a journey. It gives them some education and understanding themselves.
Yeah.
It kind of like stops them asking the silly questions.
For sure.
And also then for the IFA, we've actually effectively, in a very nice and simple way, collected quite a lot of detailed information that informs the advice process.
Yeah.
And I think one of the great things about that is that that information can go through to an advisor. They've almost got a lot of facts about the client before they actually start talking with them.
Yeah.
And it means the advisor can concentrate on what is really key, is this sort of engagement, the emotional side of things.
Yeah.
That's one thing about sort of like the use of the technology, and particularly what we provide, where it sort of like starts in sort of the join up between us, is that you are that single source of truth for everyone. So whatever the IFA is trying to do, is that they've got that information there to actually look at and relay, use intelligently, drive processes or whatever. That comes from you. And just as an example, again, the join up between us. As a modelling tool, as a planning tool, we are not a substitute for Voyant
of course not.
or Cash Cow or something like that. We are not that. We sit at the sort of front end, but actually in the integration between us, we can therefore populate through your technology, which can then actually go into Voyant. Yeah. So the benefits of that sort of integration. And again, I'd say the way that we are helping people to digitize is that, well, firstly, we're at the front of the process, so there's some information there to work with. Yeah. But also, it's a starting point. You haven't had to boil the ocean to actually start leveraging this information.
Well, I think what you're describing and what Guiide does is, as I said, it sort of wakes people up to the fact that they may have an issue that needs solving by advice. If they've got assets that they were surprised by, i.e. they've got more than perhaps they anticipate, they need advice to make sure that that's leveraged appropriately. So in every respect, you're shining a light on the opportunity for them of the importance of financial planning, which is fantastic. And then obviously providing an educated, pre-qualified prospect to your panel and for those firms that adopt your technology directly to their business. It's then for them to see how they can build and structure their business to receive the inquiries and to deliver the service super efficiently. Yeah. And I think, you're right. I mean, our mission is to help transform the industry. We are not content to, with the current technology in common use, it's so old, it's in legacy, it adds no value, and that builds lots of really inefficient working practices and processes that have to be challenged. And so, as I say, once you have your data contained in that single truth, which you referenced, the ability to leverage that data using modern enterprise client relationship management technology that's been optimized around this particular niche, I think is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Philip, thank you. That was really interesting. And obviously, in the details on the webpage, we'll obviously give you people your connection, your contact. But we're really keen and excited about working with you later this year as we bring Kiro 365 to market, to really start to explore how we can help firms take advantage of what is a massive business opportunity which you've just rehearsed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Philip. Thank you very much for taking your time today, and it's really great to see you.
Lovely. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Ron.